Hi guys, it's Rick Shiels down here at Quest Golf Studio here at Lytham Golf Academy, and we've now got the next driver, so the Nike Vapor Fly Pro driver. So I've just reviewed this one in the last video. This is the Nike Vapor Fly. Bigger head, lots of forgiveness, all numbers. I've hit 30 shots with that and produced all the numbers in the last video. If you've not seen that already, it'd be worth checking it out. Right, now we're going to go on the Nike Vapor Fly Pro. I'm going to stick with the same shaft, which is a Diamanda whiteboard and an extra stiff, and I'm going to stick with the same loft. Neutral setting, 9.5 degrees of loft. So you might see some close-ups saying S on the head, but it is an extra stiff. It's just a sticker on the head. Okay, so this is now Rory's driver. Mr. McElroy, it's a most. This is Rory's driver. He has been using it for quite a while because it's quite obvious it's very blue. So almost looks from the top identical to the Vapor Fly driver, but it's the dimensions are quite different. This is a much shallower face, more squashed outwards. The Pro version is designed to spin less, so slightly less, and is not potentially as forgiving because of that. So they've moved the centre of gravity in different places to help it travel further, to reduce the spin, but therefore you do suffer a little bit of forgiveness most of the time. They've got the cavity in the back, but it's not as deep as the Vapor Fly, so it's a little bit more shallow. They've got the reinforced bars, and they've got the channel, I'm not sure what Nike called it, but the channel behind the face, so off-centered hits it's supposed to perform better. It's got adjustability, you can go left, right, 8.5 to 12.5 in this setting. So, I'm not, like I did say this with the Vapor Fly, that blue is bold. With that and the Volt, it's bold. It's got the Volt swoosh on the back of the head, which at first was off-putting. It's become less off-putting because I've hit those 30-odd shots. Let's see how this performs. So my predictions would be it spins less, but it may be more offline. Let's hit some shots. Let's find out. I'm not going to make you sit and watch all 30 shots. I'll hit a couple first, and then I'll go it alone, and then come back with some numbers. So let me get my target. That might be a sign of things to come. It's a definite lower ball flight. It just seems to be getting out there a little bit more. Whether I need a touch more loft, but I'm going to hit 30 in the same, like I said, in the same loft. But that flight, the other one was averaging at 44 yards up in the air. That was 39 yards. In the same loft setting, that's how different the flight on that is. And a lot of the material I've seen from Nike about these drivers, it's all about height. A lot of it is about height. And in the forgiving head down there, I guess that's a good thing. In the Pro head, you might just want that a little bit more of a longer flight. That felt nice though. Yeah, it has to be said. It has to be said. It feels really solid. Yeah, really solid. It feels, you know, when you can give it a good crack, and it just feels like it's going to go forward. It'll be interesting after the 30 shots, when hit off-centered shots, I'm sure I will do, how this one reacts compared to the other ones. Stay tuned. I'll be back soon after hitting another 28 shots. Right, results are in. After all 30 shots with this monster, this little hidden monster, we've got some very interesting results. So, quick recap, this is designed to be lower spinning. From the first couple of shots we saw, it was a definite lower flight than the Vapor Fly version, wherever it is, just there on the floor. And it's the one that McElroy is using at the moment, and less obviously forgiving, because they've shifted the weight to make it lower spinning. For me, looks-wise, it was a much nicer head look, if I was forgetting the blue. Better head shape. I like the black finish on this head, and it seemed to just look a lot better behind the ball from my visual standpoint. I like a slightly smaller head, or a slightly more squashed head, let's say. Right. You ready for this? So, the Vapor Fly was average carry distance over all 30 shots, about 283 yards carry distance, so 82, 83. Okay. The Vapor Fly Pro averaged Okay, this is average carry distance, 291 yards. That's every shot being hit, 291 yards. That's 9 yards on average further. 9 yards on average. Okay. There was a spell of some of these shots are absolutely massive. Stay tuned to see how the long ones go. 291. The spin rate on average was 2,295 for me over the 30 shots. So considerably lower, 300 RPM less, which is definitely going to get that ball staying in the air for longer, as long as the loft is correct. As long as you get the launch, which I felt like I had to hit this very high off the face again to get that high launch. If it was spinning as low as that, I would look at potentially just adding a tiny bit more loft, but you don't want to sacrifice the spin. So to be fair, it was performing pretty well. Total distance on average was 315 yards. That's 10 yards further for me than the Vaporfly. 10 yards on average. When hitting, it felt phenomenally good. And I mean that. It felt phenomenal. Now, looking at the data, I didn't miss centre that often. I fluctuated around centre, just slightly above centre, and slightly in the heel. I think the slightly smaller head shapes made me focus more on the centre of the head. It really did. It made me really focus in. So 291 on average. So the 10 shots, the 10 medium shots, the 10 that I've just taken out, the middle was 293. So that's slightly higher than the average over the 30. Spin rate, 2,100 of the 10 middle shots. There's the strikes again, fluctuating around middle, slightly low on the face, but felt very good. 114 miles per hour club head speed, 165 miles per hour ball speed. Okay. Let's now have a look at the worst performing 10 shots. These are the worst golf shots. It averaged at the worst golf shots 280 yards. Now that is 11 yards shorter than average, but still almost as long as average with the Vaporfly for me, because the spin rate was a lot better. Spin rate jumped to 2,700, but considering it's a slightly smaller head and the spin rate is lower, I didn't feel like I lost an awful lot of forgiveness on off-centered hits. You can see the strikes a little bit more fluctuated on the bad shots, but I didn't feel like I lost that much. Club head speed stayed consistent, ball speed dropped a couple of miles per hour, and spin rate went up. But that's not that bad, considering they were bad hits, okay? I'll come back to the longish ones in a minute. Let's just talk about side-to-side dispersion. So side-to-side dispersion, they're my bad ones. So spread, I would say quite spread. Again, that's club to path delivery for me more than anything. I started, once I got used to the drive, maybe after about 20 shots, started to hit those shots a little bit straighter because I started to figure out where the club was moving. Around the swing, I could feel it a little bit more. But it took me a few to get used to that. A lot of them were side to side, but that's more me than the actual shot. You can see the strikes there, a little bit in the heel, but not terrible. These are my best shots, which are pretty awesome. I'll take my best shots every single day there. Long, straight, good ball flight, penetrating, very, very good, solid hits. So I'll take them every day, and they're the strikes. Right, longest. You ready for this? Longest shots. 10 shots. These are the 10 longest out of 30. So a third of the shots carried 303 yards carry. 303 yards of carry distance. That is, honestly, some of the shots I hit, and there was a couple of when I just hit and I thought, oh my goodness me, that is good. It felt phenomenal. It flew, compared to the drivers that I've used in the past, much lower. The peak height, still 43 yards up in the air, but a little bit lower in my opinion. 303 yards, it certainly looked lower. 303 yards carry, 329 yards total distance. I mean, that's enormous. That is absolutely enormous, in my opinion, over the 30 shots. I'm going to do a lot more clubs in this manner so we can get a bit more of a perspective. Spin rate dropped below 2,000 to 1,800, which made a big difference. Club head speed, again, around 113. Ball speed, again, around 165. But it was because the spin was low, the launch was high, and it was just, I mean, launch there at 16.5, spin rate 1,800. I mean, that is just a recipe for excellence. Honestly, some of the shots were phenomenal. The best shot carried at 309 yards for 340 total distance. That's huge. It's enormous. but it felt great hitting it. It felt honestly fantastic. So the front to back dispersion of that then is 23 yards. So the worst shot compared to the best shot on average, 23 yards, which I think is a bit big. You know, there's a bit of room there. So I don't believe it's the most forgiving driver in the world, because I think if we was to get a driver that was still got that long, there should be a slightly less of a gap, but you know, that's debatable. It definitely felt amazing. I didn't particularly hit it that far toe or heel in this particular test. The head shape for me just focused my mind a little bit more towards the middle of the head. Seriously, that was class. That was class. Now, I'm going to move into the Flex 440. This is a definite a different look of the head. Resin back, 60% resin, blue border. I'm interested in seeing that, and there's a weight in that where I can flip over, and I'll do a bit of testing in that as well. I like that a lot. I felt like it performed very, very well, and the ball flights were exceptional, really good. Guys, go and try it as always. You know, this is just my opinion on it. This is just me testing the clubs. Go and test it yourself. It'd be interesting to see how you get on with it, whether you'd prefer the Vaporfly or the Vaporfly Pro or something else. Give them a go, see how you get on. Go to someone with a launch monitor who you trust and they have a good reputation. That's all I would recommend. And support your local pro as much as you can. So guys, stay tuned, lots to come. I've got the facts coming up next. Do subscribe. If you like the new format of videoing and reviewing, please do give the video a thumbs up. And that was the Nike Vapor Fly Pro, which was a bit of a flying machine, if I'm honest. We'll see you next time.